information to see to, then that could come back on you as well. Yes, you could go to the agency and say, I'm going to sue you for not doing it, but you don't know if they're worth any money, if they're going to fold or whatever. So I would go in immediately and say you're terminated with immediate effect. I would also serve a letter on the tenants and say to them, you know, I'm no longer using that letting agency. Please now deal with me direct. Or perhaps get a new letting agent and see if they can assist you with the handover. But I would take some immediate action with them and then consider if they've done anything which puts you out of pocket, in which case there could be a breach of contract on their part. I mean, it depends on what their terms and conditions say. But I would have thought that as letting agents, they have to go in and do inspections and they have to notify you if there's something wrong with the property which you have the agreement was full management, so they have completely handled.
トモさんおはよう。
Well, I mean, it seems to be that they are definitely
なんか2つ出てるチャット。なんで
this letter I told them to do. I would cite parts in their terms and conditions which set out what they will do.
今1つ出てるかな。
And then confirm what they failed to do, i.e. where they have breached their own terms and
昨
conditions.
日講談の人に平手でこれ読むね。なんか勝ちましたって意味？勝ちました？すごい。っていうかめっちゃすごい。中飛車対三間飛車の対局だった。友達対局だったんですか？また潜ったんですか？素晴らしい。あ、川見よ。友達対局してる配信者だった。すごい。じゃあ、あの配信者に勝ったん？あ、誰ですか？誰ですか？誰に勝ったんですか？これ、トモさんからありがとう。あー、ちょっと待って。じゃあ、私漢字。今チャット2つ出てる1つ出てるチャットは上も下も出てるチャットなんて読むこれコピーしてちょっと待って 上だけで出てるあ、よかったよかった
I bought a car from auction. It was a go-kart auction. And on the vehicle report, it said that it was Euro 6, so that makes it ULEZ compliant. However, upon getting the car, there was no V5 in the car originally. So then, obviously, I was driving it normally here and there, and I've got killed.
あ、圧勝。ああ、すごい。めっちゃ勝ったってこと。やば。やば。めっちゃ勝った。あれ、配信者の人だった？配信者に勝ったんですか？誰わ、素晴らしい。
take no responsibility for misdescription, so they can't say that. But auctions are slightly different when it comes to cars. You need to see precisely what their terms and conditions say. Perhaps the best thing to do is to go back to them and say, well, can you point me to the particular part of your terms and conditions that give you the right to say that and see what they come back with. If it doesn't say it anywhere, they won't come back with anything, or they'll come up with an answer that is willy-nilly, politician's response. Or if they are certain of their position because they do clearly cover this, then they'll come back with the correct text. At which point you'll say to them, when did you point this out to me? To me, so I knew that was going to be the case. And if they can't tell you that, you might go back and say, well, that's what you had to do. That was my consumer right. But this is one of the problems with auctions, and it's why you get the pre-notice of information, and you get the opportunity to do your own due diligence on vehicles like this. This is one of the dangers of buying a car in
私は中飛車左穴熊にした。すごい。中飛車左穴熊。エミリー・ルーナさん、こんにちは。はい。こんにちは。こんばんは。おはようございます。イギリスは今、日曜日の夜9時半です。日本は朝、プラス9時間。
And we'll see where we go next. But often when I tell people to do this with auctions, often this solves the problem, or it pushes them to do something for you. So I want to see if that's what's going to happen.
お月様、お月様。
More calls and texts coming up next here on the LBC Consumer Hour. You're listening to Dean Dunham. The time is 9:32. And here's your news headlines with Tim Davis.
The man killed after entering Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort with a shotgun is being identified this evening as a 21-year-old from North Carolina. Officials say Austin Tucker Marzin was observed around the property during the early hours of this morning. The European Commission is demanding the Trump administration honors the terms of an EU-US trade deal agreed last year. It's been reacting to this weekend's changes on US tariffs announced by President Trump. The government says it will provide extra support to GPs to protect children from life-threatening diseases. It's following an outbreak of measles in the London borough of Enfield. LBC weather, breezy overnight with a mixture of clear spells and showers, mild with a patchy frost in northern districts. We'll see a low of around 5 degrees.
This is LBC. At TfL, we're helping make roads safer. We're continuing to roll out lower speed limits because 20 miles per hour roads have already seen 24% fewer collisions causing death or serious injury. We're also improving junction to help keep you safe and improving visibility for our bus drivers with new mirror cameras.
5人分くらい食べて
TfL improving.
食べ過ぎて
London and TfL.
運転できない。今運転してもらってる。食べ過ぎて酔っ払っちゃった。
20 miles per hour speed limit. You're really building that business, Josh. That's because you chose to bank with Virgin Money, earning cash back on your supplies, turning expenses into rewards on everything from Sanders to skip hire. You came, you soared, you conquered. Open Virgin Money's M account for business now. UK Street, NI, Channel Islands, and Ladder 18 plus. Terms and exclusions apply. Cashback rate of 0.25% backed by the current account switch service. Virgin Money is a trading name and Clydesdale Bank PLC.
Wellness. What even is wellness?
ああ、CM 多すぎて。
Cleanses, routines, regimes, biohacks, stacks, schedules, procedures.
お月様。
I suppose so. But can it just be a cup of... Pucker herbal tea.
Oh.
Pucker. Nothing beats nature.
Dean Dunham on LBC. Call
お、ハブが開いてる。
I mentioned at the top of the show about the watchdog Ofcom releasing its latest data. This data covered the period July to September last year. It's not actually the recent data, but they say it's recent data. It's not really recent data, but it's the most recent data we've got about complaints in this sector. And the interesting thing that comes out of it is there are 3 brands that come out bad: EE, TalkTalk, and Vodafone. EE by far the worst. And they say that EE, TalkTalk, and Vodafone were Britain's most complained about broadband providers. That's what Ofcom's figures tell us for that period, July to
今ラジオで言ってる。EE は一番ダメ。EE は私が使ってる。
Maybe surprised to some of you, may not, don't know. I was going to tell you what you do if you have a complaint about a broadband provider, because many people for some reason still don't know. But actually, we have just covered it in a call where I said that you ask for a deadlock letter, you go off to their ADR provider, alternative dispute resolution provider. It's one of those sectors where ADR is mandatory. There are 2 approved providers in this sector, which is good news because it means you've got a route of redress.
エミリさん、ともさん、こんばんは。こんばんは。おはよう。おはよう。よんよんよん。おはよう。よんよん。
Say to them, I'm going to go off to the ombudsman often they'll think, well, what can we do to resolve this? We do not want to defend an ombudsman claim. So it's a good buzzword to use when you make a complaint about a broadband provider. And as I said, many people are making complaints about them. They always do, but these figures show, if you look at the overall figures, it's fairly flat. The complaint numbers have not gone up, but it's just more complaints about only particular brands, perhaps than there were previously.
アヒルのステーキめっちゃ食べたね。 めっちゃ食べた。
Yes, Darren in Hempstead. I have a location, a popular location tracking app on my phone, and one of the services you can subscribe to, if you're in an emergency, you can press the button and get help, such as breakdown cover. I locked my keys inside my car. I called for help, and no help was provided. I had to break into my car and it caused £300 worth of damage to replace the window.
アヒルさん食べたのね。食べた。いっぱい。5人分から食べた。1人で5人分。
That didn't provide the service to me.
Darren, how do you lock your key inside a car?
皆さん、私着いたよ。
So I was inside my car and there's a button inside
食べ過ぎて酔っ払っちゃった。
to lock or unlock the central system. And I was in a dodgy area, so I was pressing it on and off all the time. I'd got out
じゃあ
of
ま
my
た
car
ね。
and
皆
I
さ
thought
ん、来てくれてありがとうございます。トムさん5段に買っておめでとう。おめでとうございます。素晴らしい。もう信じられないくらい。めっちゃすごい。パチパチ。ソラさんコメントありがとうございます。腹いっぱいね。はい、腹いっぱい。じゃあ皆さんにハート送ります。これも待ってです。エミリちゃんありがとう。またね。トモさんから。はい。トモさん、またね。ソラさん、待ってです。また。にゃん。じゃあ、ハート送ります。はい。これ。そしてこれ。バイバイ。どうやって切る？